Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing with a new fabulous product from Hero Arts, the new layering stamps from the HeroScape line. If you aren't familiar with these stamps, there are 3 sets in the line. There's a Lavender Field, which I'm using today, the Tulip Field, I have a video for that set coming soon, and the Sunflower Field. All of these are larger 6x8 clear stamps that have a beautiful layering in them to create a blooming field of either lavender, tulips, or sunflowers, of course. Now, I was blown away by these stamps and by how easy it was to use them to make absolutely stunning cards. If you like to create little scenes on your projects, these stamps are perfect for you. And I suggest that you get all 3 sets because then you'll be able to mix and match the little accents from the sets. The accents include the little houses, the trees, the butterflies. There's even a fence in one of the sets and clouds. Lots of different little objects. Now, there are coordinating dies available for these sets that make die cutting all of the little pieces a piece of cake and very enjoyable process. I have links to all of these new stamp sets in my video description below, so do check them out. Now here's the card we will be making in today's video. The bottom part of this card is that pretty layered field of lavender. Now the stamping part is rather easy, although I did mess up my image the first time I stamped them, so I'm hoping you'll find this video useful. Now, I like to use a misti stamping tool with all of my layering stamps. This makes it easy to position and align everything, and it's also very helpful for mass production. And with these stamps, I'm sure you'll be tempted to stamp multiples. They are just that addictive. Now, I like to place a panel of white cardstock. This is cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches into my misti, and then start with a top layer. This is the base layer, the base flower layer, and this needs to be stamped in light color of ink. I like to place it and position it up against the corner of my misti. Now, since this is lavender, I'm naturally using a pretty purple color, and I'm going with Orchid by Hero Arts. The options for color combinations are, of course, endless here, and you can use your favorite inks here. I like to double stamp these images to get a perfect impression, and like I mentioned, since I'm using my misti tool, I might as well stamp multiples so that I can make more than one card. With the base flower layer stamped, I'm going to stamp the flower detail layer, which is the second stamp from the top. And I'm placing it again onto the paper and positioning it up against that corner of my misti. These stamps are a piece of cake to align, and you don't really need to do much eyeballing. They fall into place nicely. Now, some further layers, especially on the tulip stamp set, do require a little bit of a proper positioning, but like I mentioned, these are very, very easy to align. I'm using my ombre ink pad to ink the detail layer, and I'm actually utilizing just the 2 darker colors here. The darkest one, actually, for the most part. Okay, let's stamp the grass now. Here, I've placed the grass stamp onto my paper, and again, I've positioned it up against the corner, and you can see how nicely it fell into place. I'm going to use the Field Greens ink from Hero Arts. This is my lighter green to stamp the base grass layer, and for the detail layer, I'm using Forever Green. I'm stamping 2 panels at the same time, just flipping the paper in my misti to quickly stamp these images. And look at this gorgeous result. Now that took me only 4 minutes to make. So very easy and yet so impressive. Can you imagine giving a card with these stamped fields to someone? They will never be able to guess how you made the fields. And it was very, very easy to make. Now this stamp set comes with a number of additional images to help build the scene. I'm going to stamp several so that I have enough to finish the 2 cards that I'm making. I'm stamping several trees in Forever Green ink, a few houses in wet cement ink. I like that there are 2 houses here, a bigger and a smaller one. And these images actually remind me of Italy and Greece. I've been to both of these countries in the summer when the flowers bloom, and I can just picture these lavender fields there as well as the pretty houses in the distance. So, so pretty. I'm also stamping several butterflies in Butterbar ink. I love the combination of purple, green, and yellow, so using yellow here makes perfect sense, and these butterflies will make wonderful accents for my cards. Like I mentioned, there are coordinating dies available for every image in this stamp set, including even a die for a blooming field. I'm using mine to cut these images out in my deep sea die cutting machine. I have it sitting off to the side, and I love the fact that there are dies for everything. That makes creating cards with various scenes a very easy task. Of course, you can fussy cut these images, but some are just too small for fussy cutting. I've cut the images out in my die cutting machine. I've sorted them and have them sitting in a little dish off to the side. By the way, a few of you asked me about that little dish. This is from Fun Stamper's Journey, and I have a link to that in my video description. It's sold in a pack of 2, and it is absolutely perfect for holding little pieces like these die cuts. To create a sky for my scene, I'm using a piece of light blue cardstock. This is Paradise from Hero Arts. I also used Mist for the card that I shared at the beginning of this video. To soften the color of the paper, I'm blending white pigment ink over it, and I'm blending it so that it mimics the clouds. A bit of the ink at the bottom of the panel where the field die cut ends, and also some at the top of the panel to create faux clouds for my card. I'll also add additional die cut clouds later, but I think it's important to blend some of this white ink to soften the panel. Here's a blank panel for comparison, and you can see how adding that white ink instantly makes it look like a cloudy sky. Such an easy technique, yet very effective. You'll want to let the white pigment ink dry because it is pigment. It takes significantly longer to dry on the paper. I have used a heat tool to speed up the drying time, and that has helped to speed things along. Next, I'm going to stamp the sentiments. For my main card, I used a sentiment from the Happy Birthday stamp set by the Stamping Village. But for the 2 cards I'm making on video, I'm going to use the sentiments that come with the stamp set, with this Lavender Field stamp set. I'm stamping one that reads, "For someone special," on one of the panels, and "You grow more beautiful every year" on another panel. And I'm using black ink. This is VersaFine Onyx Black, which is my favorite black ink for stamping sentiments. All that's left to do now is assemble our cards. I'm using a lot of foam adhesive to foam bound the pieces in place, and I'm basically just having loads of fun building my scenes. You can build any type of scenes you want by using these images. You can also use other images from your stash to complete these. I know Hero Arts has a ton of other stamp sets with fun little scene building pieces that can be used for these kinds of cards. Finally, I'm adding the clouds to my scene. I didn't stamp any clouds here. Instead, I used just the coordinating die to cut the clouds out from white cardstock. I really like how pretty they look against that blue background. Lastly, I'm adding the yellow butterflies. I have them flying in my lavender field, and I also later added some purple jewels to complete these cards. By the time I was done, my kitty came to my desk and decided it was a good place to sit, so you can see a part of her on the screen. She's completely black, so it's often hard to tell where her head is. But I love when she stubs by and sits with me when I craft. So that's it from me for today. I love these HeroScapes stamp sets from Hero Arts, and I cannot recommend them enough. I do hope you'll check them out and have a bit of a play yourself. I hope you found this video to be useful. I cannot wait to see what you create with these stamps. If you are inspired by this video and you happen to create something, please share online and tag me. I'd love to see what you guys are making. If you're new here, do subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified about every new upload. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.